Hello, everyone. Welcome to this welcome and introduction to Block Party number 109, happening tomorrow, Friday, May 13th, which happens to be my father's birthday, the late, great John Robert Shively. So this block party is for you, Dad. And though my dad wouldn't necessarily approve of the title, in fact, I'm sure he wouldn't approve. Well, I'm not 100% sure. I'd have to talk with him. But the title is, collective superintelligence. It is sexual, right? And I'm going to talk more about that. It's not just sexy, it's sexual. Okay. So we'll get more into that in a few minutes. It is sexy also, and sexual. I mean, it's just like, as far as sex, it's just like, wow. It's like, it's literally your wildest dreams. And I'll get to that. Oh shoot, speaking of sexy, Michael's here. Let's let Michael in. I'll just let him know we're recording. Hey there, Michael. How's it going? Hey, we are recording. We're just rolling here. So welcome. And you cool just going with the flow? Because I got a lot to get out in only a few minutes. So just go with the flow. Thank you, bro. All right. So, one key question that we need to address before I get into the heart of collective superintelligence, it is sexual, right? Is, who is going to determine or orchestrate or design or in any other way cause, shall we say, the course of our planet, the course of our future trajectory. And when I say trajectory, I'm not talking about the actual Cartesian trajectory around the sun. I'm talking about the trajectory in terms of exponential planetary overheating, exponential dying of the biosphere, species, ecosystems, etc. All that within the trajectory. Who's going to determine all that, right? Is it the so-called powers that be? Do you guys see the extent to which humanity is kind of resigned to the fact that the billionaires and governments that they control, right? Billionaires and millionaires, but I just say billionaires for short. The billionaires and the governments that they own and control are going to set the tone. They're going to decide everything. They're going to figure out whether to enter into a Paris Agreement and whether to pull out of it and all that. And the rest of us are just kind of sitting here watching television. You get that feeling. It's almost like we've become resigned to it to a degree. But anyway, this is going to change all that. Collective superintelligence, it is sexual, okay, is going to change all that. So that's one. Let's just call that plan A. Let the billionaires and the governments that they own and control run the show, continue to determine the course. Another is let God, creator, do it. And I pray that creator, Mother Gaia, I actually think of it as all the same. So I pray that she intervene and intercede as much as she can on our behalf. We're doing our part as part of the whole. And anyway, that gets back to the it is sexual part. So we'll get to that. And maybe creator is waiting for all of us to ask her. I don't know, but regardless. So let's call that plan B. Leave it in the hands of God, creator, not leave it in the hands, but ask for their support, I guess. And then plan C, and we can have multiple of these going on in parallel. But plan C, the compassionate plan, C for compassionate, is that we all get together and at least do our part. That's not to say overthrow the governments, and that's not to say don't believe in God. No, I'm just saying not plan C, but part C, right? A compassionate humanity, that all of us,
the friends and family plan. Our circle of friends and family, right? No.
Yeah, well, everyone, I mean, that we all see everyone as friends and family, right? The whole world, all of humanity, with no one excluded, all together playing a new game. In this case, a real life game of saving and healing and transforming life on Earth using our collective superintelligence, which again is sexual. It is sexual. Now, why is it sexual? Because what, and by the way, here's what I believe. The part A of billionaires and governments continuing to control everything, I think they're the most deluded of all. I literally think they cannot imagine all this privilege just going away. They just can't imagine it. It just doesn't compute. And I've witnessed that among the billionaire friends that I have, government friends and all that. They refuse to see it. And so they're kind of off the table in terms of intervening or orchestrating an intervention that would include reversing the current exponential overheating. I say it so casually. Oh yeah, the current exponential. I mean, we should be screaming from the rooftops. In fact, let's all take a 1 minute pause, go outside and scream at the top of our lungs. I'm just kidding.
Stepping around Bill's refractory mirror system on the roof.
Well, yeah,
not tripping on that.
Okay, Michael, I'm gonna ask you to just kind of go with the flow, bro. Just go with the flow. We're super tight on time. But anyway, that we I'm just saying their activities are going to be fairly predictable, and it's nowhere near enough. It doesn't even scratch the surface of what we need to do within the time frame that within which we need to do it, which is months. And I've talked about God, Creator, Mother Gaia. Next, it's all of us coming together as people, as humans, and talking human to human and saying, hey, yo, I know those other channels are doing what they're doing or doing what they can, right? But let's get together and talk about this. I think it's time for a conversation, right? The planet's exponentially overheating. The planet's exponentially dying. We're on the verge of nuclear war, pandemic raging, spreading, 2+ years with us. It's like, what's missing from this toxic soup? It's pretty complete. There's lizards and eyeballs, and I mean, it's all there. Right? This toxic non-vegan soup. And so it's time for a conversation. So part C has been really absent from the playing field here. Yeah, people tweet, people blog, people XYZ social media, but that's not a conversation. It's now fairly well understood that social media does not constitute a conversation. It's a form of conversation, but it's not conversation. There's no substitute. Look at how we evolved as a species. Look at what we got. We have these giant faces. Like a bird doesn't have like a giant face, just expressing all these, stuff. We have these giant billboards, right? And this giant visual cortex and everything else. And we're just constantly scanning and reading each other, right? When Michael's not setting his beard on fire. And we're checking each other out. That's why actual conversation is so important. It's what we're optimized for. We're constantly getting feedback from each other, all these visual cues, me waving my hands and all that. So what we're talking about here is a collective superintelligence that is at its core, it is conversation. It is a vast garden of conversations that are hyper connected. I need to pause for a second. I wanted to add some more thoughts related to the three parts. The billionaires and governments, God, Creator, Mother Gaia, and then that's part B, and then part C, us. The three are going to coexist. They always have. What I'm just saying is part C, us, humanity coming together and acting as one, to solve our critical problems that are not just threatening our survival, but actually killing us. We're in the process of dying as a planet. As the apex predator species, we're just killing to stuff our own bellies. And our house is on fire. So the pantry's full for the wealthier 2/3 of the planet, plenty of food, and the house is on fire. So pantry's full, house is on fire. That's the situation, right? And yet people are basically saying, well, if the pantry's full, I'm cool. Let's just carry on. Because the fire is happening somewhere else. Well, it's increasingly happening everywhere. Let's be real. It certainly happens in my neck of the woods, Pacific Northwest, major fire zone. But anyway, I digress. The billionaires and the governments who are basically the last to see it, the most deluded, also control the majority of the resources, right? And they create laws or repeal laws. Don't get me started. So they're coexisting with creator intervening, however she is, and with us, the rest of us. We are the missing third leg of this stool, the people coming together and forming a collective superintelligence that is sexual, right? And I'll get more into that in a couple few minutes. A note on creator. My dad used to say, God helps those who help themselves. I'm not saying I 100% believe that, but I definitely believe in the symbiosis, right? I mean, I do believe it. I don't think it's just that kind of a harsh one way, hey, if you don't help yourself, then I'm not going to help you. No. But the help really gets higher level, and the symbiosis gets higher level if we're rowing in the same direction. Let's help each other. That's when it's the most powerful, right? Now, as far as billionaires and the governments that they own, through and control through such mechanisms as the World Economic Forum, amid myriad others, central banking networks and whatnot, you might be tempted to think, well, they must care, right? I mean, goodness, they've got the most to lose. Of course they're going to care, right? That might seem logical to us, but it doesn't work that way with them. They are so addicted to accumulating more and more and more and more and more. And that means taking from everyone else. You notice how your bills have gotten more expensive, food's more expensive, everything's more expensive, but income is flat, right? If you're lucky enough to have income, right? So it's we're all feeling it. That is all the billionaires and multimillionaires and the governments of the world just sucking from us, milking us dry. So they're so addicted to this rush that they're on, this meteoric rise that they're on in terms of accumulation of wealth, like you could call that wealth, right? That's like power within, the Nazi regime, Hitler's regime, someone having high rank and calling that power, that's evil, right? So, but regardless, again, they control the vast majority of the resources of the world. So they're definitely a force to be reckoned with. As is creator, as are us. We are the missing third leg of this stool. So let's get in the game, right? And given how bad things are getting and how quick life is being extinguished exponentially right now, right? I really don't see humanity just sitting back and taking it and saying, well, we're just going to sit back and let it happen to us, right? I mean, we're humanity. We are humanity, right? It's time for humanity to wake up and say, you know what? We need to come together and have a real conversation about this, or given our numbers, a real network of conversations, garden of conversations, right? And properly hyper-connected along the lines that we'll discuss, properly hyper-connected and properly, grounded and founded and architected, however decentralized. And I believe it needs to be completely decentralized. I believe that's the key. And since it's better to be first than it is to be better, and we're going to be launching this on a planetary scale in the coming weeks, that puts us in a position where we're very likely going to be first at really blowing this story worldwide. What's the story? The story is we're overheating exponentially. Death and extinction are exponential, and destruction of the biosphere, destruction of habitat, all exponential and just off the charts, consuming very quickly, faster than ever, an increasingly shrinking pie. I mean, just look at the Arctic sea ice, right? The last 20% are going in the blink of an eye in like basically a year or two. So it's an exponential cluster mess of a train wreck. And, with trains coming from every direction, think Chicago, just trains from every direction converging and just multi train wreck. And so given this urgency, whether it's us kicking it off with our tour in Ireland or, some other tour someplace else, whatever, it doesn't matter where it starts. The important thing is that it starts. But as far as our contribution to it, or my contribution anyway, and I know y'all agree with me and all that, but there are people in our community who may not, and that's fine. I want to hear all voices. But as far as we're concerned, a tight we, it should be decentralized. And as we really stand for that and keep all of our conversations fully decentralized, right? Not part of some network that you have to sign up for to be a part of it. Though we will participate in other networks and Trove and certain, strategic forums, we'll tweet, we'll do all kinds of cool stuff, but fundamentally at a decentralized way where there's no gatekeeper. And we will live and breathe that and really perfect our role within that. And I think that'll do what more can we ask of ourselves than to set that example, live it and breathe it, co-create it, and be a constant stand for it, literally 24/7. So once we kick this off, we got to be ready to go 24/7. And it's going to go exponential. Why? Because it's launching basically in the summer of heat. It's the heat stupid, right? It's getting crazy stupid exponentially hot. And we're still not talking about it. Oh, once a year, a bunch of rich people get together. And, like I was at the last COP26, just Google Darth Vader COP26. But we stuck out like a sore thumb, but we were the only ones actually talking and actually having a conversation. So we became the runaway success of COP26, according to the media. Thank you. So that's significant. That's really significant. So we're taking that, magic power, basically, that superpower, and we're now applying it in Ireland, among other places, and worldwide through the Zoomosphere, through this Zoom channel, Block Party and elsewhere throughout the week. We are we're hosting our portion of the conversation. Yeah, good. Marco, you had a point. Go ahead.
Yeah, I think this decentralization kind of really a model we can use for it is like the communist cell system, where there is a certain connection between one cell and another and a couple others, but there's the freedom of uh, being independent and the power of being together. You've got kind of the best of both worlds. And I'm not saying we should become communist, but there's a certain part of every civilization that's come along that was a good part. And we need to, we have the collective intelligence now working for us, the collective superhuman intelligence of these conversations, that we can look back and take the best and make it work. The best, from Greek society, like the forum, which we're doing here now, the conversations happening, that communication that lets you be independent and one, like the old time communist cell system. It's just, we have it all, and we've been throwing it away. We've been burning it up like idiots. It's time we put this collective intelligence together for the good of the whole, to save, heal, and transform humanity. And we work on that every Friday here. Check the link out below. That's a Zoom ID number 595-172-819, if that works for you. And for now, I'm complete.
Awesome, Marco. Awesome.
Certified compassionate conversations. Thank you.
Yeah, triple C, certified compassionate conversations. Well, who's doing this? The certifying, right? And we'll get to that, but in a fully decentralized system, there are multiple options for a certification, right? And new ones can, any group anywhere in the world can, or individual for that matter, can create a new one, right? So it's kind of like the Wild West of open source software, right? With GitHub and all that good stuff. Yeah, it is very much like that. And so it's an open, so fully decentralized. Nothing is mandatory. Everything is optional. People find their own way. Having said that, lots of people will cluster around certain areas, right? Certain topics, certain languages, certain communities, etc. A lot of meetings will be open to the public. A lot will be invite only. Let it be, right? I would hope that more and more would broadcast and record and transcribe and submit their transcriptions for indexing, right? For search engines and the like, to make all these conversations maximally discoverable. And I would hope more and more and better systems like Trove and other networks emerge and evolve, right? Let Trove evolve to the stratosphere and beyond, to help discover all this information and make it accessible, right, to everyone, so that people can, so that this cellular, multicellular network, well, that makes me think, actually, I mean, for most of life on Earth, we were unicellular, right? For most of life on Earth, we were unicellular. And it's only like, I guess, in the last, less than 10% of the duration of life on Earth that we went multicellular, but that's when just life had just exploded.
5-minute will call.
Okay, thank you. That's when life just exploded. And here we are, this apex predator, huge species, huge in size, huge in number, huge in intelligence, intellectual capability. Look at the complex conversations we're able to have. But since I've only got a couple of minutes left, I'll just jam right to the heart of it is sexual. So as this hyper connected network comes together and thrives, decentralized, free, wild and free, right, and hyper connected, right, it is so sexual. Why? Because at any moment, any of us goes to whatever conversation we want, whatever conversation tickles our fancy at that moment. And at any moment, we've always got an itch for something. There's something missing. There's something next. There's something that we need, that when we get into the right conversation and get the right support from the right experts, right, who are constantly bubbling the best information to the top within their conversation, right? And then look at the tops of all conversations, and you have the most current, most up-to-date snapshot of the whole, right? And so to be able to be those pollinators, so if each conversation is a flower, we're pollinators, humans are pollinators, jumping from one to the other. Anyway, it is sexual because you always get to jump into whatever pool is most aligned with your passion at that moment, right? And as we co-create, and I learned this from Robert Scoble, who was a colleague at Microsoft. He wrote Naked Conversations with Shel Israel, and they, talk about how collaboration, in their case, pioneers of the blogosphere, but collaboration nonetheless, how collaboration triggers the same receptors in the brain as sex. It fires the same neurons fire, right? And when we're collaborating together, we're co-creating. This conversation is the secret love child between the three of us. And I don't care who's in the middle, who's on top, right? I got to run. I got to go. Okay, I got to go. See you guys soon. Thanks so much, everybody. And sorry to be so abrupt and not give you guys a chance, but we'll discuss tomorrow at the block party, and so will you. So get ready to have your say. Love you all. Thanks.